Hello, hello, hello. Today we're gonna go over all the spots in the new Eternal Winter region. I usually do this for every single region that comes out. Normally, there's usually more than one optimal spot per region. Unfortunately for the winter region, it's pretty lackluster, and I can see why not a lot of players really returned for console to try and explore this area as a whole lot, considering that there's realistically only one and a honorable mention spot that you could even give remotely of a care about. But it is what it is. What are you gonna do? So we're gonna start off with the Jade Forest. This is by far the only viable spot that I would even consider grinding. This is where you're probably gonna get your helmet from. It's a bit crowded right now, so if you're on console and you're trying to get your helmet, it's gonna be a bit rough, so just keep that in mind. It's gonna be a minute. Luckily though, we do have a drop event going on console, so you can possibly get this helmet really quick. It's not that bad. I managed to get mine on my second day, which I didn't even know I got it. I was just grinding and opened up my inventory and the flame was there, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I just have this now. So if anything, if you're looking to just grind the flame as quickly as possible, this is probably going to be your best spot. If you're popping all loot scrolls and every drop buff imaginable and you're grinding right now during the buff event, probably going to get this relatively quickly. You're averaging about probably maybe 6 to 8 embers an hour, and you can also pre-order the embers on the market, so that's also something that you can consider. A lot of people are currently selling the helmets because the price is incredibly high, so the helmets are going to drop in price at some point very low. And yeah, just with everybody grinding it, it's gonna, the flames are gonna sit on the market, the embers are gonna sit on the market, and within about a couple weeks I could imagine that these are going to just be readily available for everybody. So don't think the helmet's gonna be very difficult for anybody to pick up. As for just the money, I would say that it's just okay. It is just decent. If you're a high-end player and you want to make actual consistent money without having to rely on drops, having to rely on selling Caphras, etc., Trolls is better, Gyphins is better. There's just so many other spots that I would rather grind than Jade Starlight Forest. It's just decent grind spot, and if you want to change of scenery, whatever, that's really the only reason I would even go here. It's roughly about 1 billion silver an hour, which I know sounds absolutely amazing just when you hear 1 billion silver an hour, but that's under the assumption that you are selling everything. That includes the lightstone, if you even get an iridescent, and then if you're making about 30k trash an hour, which mind you, 30k trash an hour is roughly around 600 mil, so don't think that it's anything amazing. It's kind of just like, that's okay. Even if you're pulling subpar trash at Trolls, roughly around 8k trash an hour, you'll still make roughly around 800 mil plus despairs plus BMCs, which will consistently sell on the market. So you'll easily make well over 1 billion silver an hour over at Trolls. So it just makes more sense to go over there if you're trying to actually make 1 billion silver without having to sell Caphras and embers and so on and so forth. It just, I don't know, I don't see a plus here. Not only that too, but the average Caphras is roughly around 30, so even if you do get Caphras, you'd have to convert the ancient dust into Caphras to kind of offset that cost. So even then you're looking at about 180 million silver in Caphra sales, and right now Caphras are kind of just sitting on the market, so I wouldn't necessarily think that Caphras are a great reason to sell at all at the moment, just because they're just sitting. Like, everybody is just taking out their Caphras and putting it on the market because of the Labresca helmet. Outside of that though, the embers are 47, or not 47 mil, they're like 20 mil a pop right now or something like that. And if you get like an average of 3 an hour, that's okay money. It's like an extra 60 mil. It's like, whatever. Again, despairs, in my opinion, at Trolls would just make more sense. Other than those things, there's not really much here at Jade Starlight Forest. Realistically, the average money here without having to rely on market sales is just going to be about 600, maybe 700 mil. That's about it. The next spot we're going to talk about is the Murlowax Labyrinth. Now, this spot is a little weird. It's I'm not exactly sure I don't know what's going on here, but it's basically worse than the Jade Starlight Forest in like every way, where the total money is 600 and some odd million silver. If you're pulling about 25k average trash, the trash alone at 25k an hour is going to roughly translate to about 300 million silver, which is significantly worse than basically all Elvia spots to my knowledge. I think even Sonals is better. Orcs is better. Even I'd argue that Imps is better. This is just a bottom tier. This is absolute like low tier. I think the sad part about this grind spot too is that like it's cool. It's actually a pretty cool grind and I like it. It's not It's not super brain dead, and I feel like there's always mobs just, you know, spawning in, which is really cool. And it's just kind of an active spot where you're not moving around too much, and you're not having to do a lot of travel time. You're just, you know, constantly throwing abilities and fighting, which is really fun. However, the money here is so not worth it, to the point where I would argue that if you're grinding here, it's just probably a waste of time. In order to make any kind of real heavy money, you'd have to be pulling an iridescent lightstone like every hour. That would be the only reason to grind here if you're just farming iridescence. But at that point, you know, if they were abundant like that, they'd just be sitting on the market anyway, which they're starting to sit on the market regardless. So even with iridescence, this spot doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense either. And the other spot, which is Winter Tree Fossil, this spot is absolutely confusing. I don't know what exactly they thought they were going for in this one. It's essentially the Shirikan Necropolis night cycle. You walk up to the little crystal, and then you use 100 energy on it, and then you basically just do that on repeat till for about an hour. And if you do that for about an hour, it's a 22k trash on average with no loot scroll, because this is not a loot scroll spot. You do not use loot scrolls here, but it's 22k an hour, and translates to roughly around 200 and not even 200 mil. I was actually reading the wrong thing. That's an iridescent. For a full hour at 22k trash, you are looking at about 123 million silver. That is awful. That is genuinely some of the worst money in this entire game. You make more money at centaurs than you do here. That's how bad this spot is. I don't know what Pearl Abyss was thinking when they came up with the idea for this spot, because I like the idea of just, you know, you go there and then you use energy or whatever. I mean, even using energy is kind of stupid, because you'd have to have an energy pool large enough to sustain an hour, which most people don't, because that's a lot of energy. So like even myself, I've been playing this game for 4 or 5 years, and my energy pool is not even 500. So yeah, I would get, I think, 40 minutes of a grind, and that's about it. So this spot, in my opinion, is the absolute worst. It's the least amount of money, the weirdest mechanic, and overall just no real players are going to want to grind here. The money is minuscule as hell. It's not worth it at all, and it's just very lackluster. This is one of the worst spots in the entire game. To put it into perspective, you can make more money at polys, at trees, at Fodis. You can make more money anywhere else other than here. That's how bad this spot is. There's so many spots that require less AP, less mental fortitude, less everything, and you just make more money. Like I don't understand this spot at all. It's absolutely horrible. But yeah, those are the spots that I decided to cover. I'm not even sure what the ethereal limbo or etherious limbo garbage is. I'll put a link in the description to Kendaya's channel where he covers it better, and since I haven't done it, nor do I care to do it, I'm not going to cover it. So if you guys are interested to understand what that is, you can go ahead and check out his video. But other than that, the spot, in terms of just the Eternal Region in general, realistically, you're only going to grind Jade Forest. Maybe you'll grind Murwak's Labyrinth just for the sake of fun, but it's not worth it. Just Jade Starlight Forest is the only spot that makes any sense, and the only reason it's even good is if you have Agris. So if you don't have Agris, then you're losing a lot of money, which if you don't have Agris, you're dropping down to about 759 mil an hour, which is okay. It's just fine. But again, that's with selling literally everything. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any questions or extra knowledge, drop down below in the comments. Go ahead and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye bye.